Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joe with a hot take on Hillary Clinton. I know. Uh, but she gave a little speech at the DNC last night. I know. Calm down, Joan. She's not really here. It's just a picture. Um, and one of the things she said, okay, fine. You want to come over here and bark? Here. Come over here. You're going to ruin everything. One of the things she said that struck me in the speech, yes, I know, was that she said, "Good evening. After the last election, I said we owe Donald Trump an open mind and the chance to lead." Really? Did you give him that chance? Because I don't think you did. I don't think you gave him a chance to do a damn thing. And in fact, I went back to look at some articles. I also looked at your Twitter feed. Here's a tweet that didn't age well. This is from before you lost the election, October 24th, 2016. Donald Trump refused to say that he'd respect the results of this election. That's a direct threat to our democracy. I don't think you have. I don't think you have at all, because you've been nothing but critical of him. Not that there's anything wrong with being critical of the president. Here's a picture of Hillary at the inauguration. Look at the expression on her face. Look at her. She looks like she wants to kill people. This is, of course, from the New York Times. And it says, this is January 20th. This was not the inauguration Hillary Clinton thought she would be attending. Some Democrats, still bitter about her election night defeat, grumbled privately she should have skipped Donald J. Trump's swearing in, as 60 House Democrats did on Friday. But a groundswell of supporters praised her fortitude. And the headline is, Hillary Clinton is stoic at her rival's inauguration. Have you ever seen an inauguration in which the rival got coverage? This is how much they hate Donald Trump. That they lost and that they covered the reaction of the woman who lost to him. That's how much they wanted Hillary and hate Donald Trump for winning. It's amazing. It's amazing. And this is from his inauguration. So right at the beginning, I don't think she was on board with Trump at all. And if you look at, this is from the 30th, so 10 days later. This is from The Observer. She was crowing about on the 28th, I think it was, 8 days later, about Trump's travel ban. And what they point out here is Hillary Clinton's disastrous foreign policy perpetuated the war on terror, spread unrest, and caused military conflict in the Middle East, and her policies were often abrasive towards immigrants and refugees. However, her record didn't stop Clinton and her former staff from capitalizing on the outrage over Trump's recent immigration ban that targeted 7 Muslim countries. I stand with the people gathered across the country tonight defending our values and our Constitution. This is not who we are, Clinton tweeted on January 28th. Yeah, it sounds like you're really giving him a chance. You destroyed Libya. There is now a slave market in Libya. An actual slave market. Actual slavery has returned to Libya because you destroyed the country. And that was your project, Hillary. You pushed for it. You ran it and ran it right into the ground. And you put an embassy in the middle of a war zone. Libya then fell into civil war after the death of Gaddafi, who, by the way, was considered reformed by some of your Republican colleagues. So it's funny that suddenly Democrats decided Gaddafi had to go, when the Republicans had decided, no, he's reformed, we've given him some money or whatever. And McCain and I guess it was the other two amigos, probably Lindsey Graham, probably not Lieberman. I think Lieberman was out of Congress by then. Probably went along with it. So it's funny how you bombed the crap out of him. Was it just to make McCain look like a dick? Maybe. Um, but this is hardly, open mind. No, this is an attack, attack, attack. A week after Trump was inaugurated, right? So all the way up until the election, you, of course, were trying to beat him. And so you gave him about a week, 8 days before you started criticizing him relentlessly, and you haven't really stopped, in my view. So, H.A. Goodman says you're still going to be the nominee, which will be hilarious if that's announced tonight. It'll probably be one of the most hilarious moves ever in American history. I hope you do it. I hope you do run. I would love to see you lose again. How sweet would that be? Say in the comments how sweet it would be to see Hillary Clinton lose a second time. That to Trump. She already lost to Obama, and so and then she lost to Trump. She lose another time? I'm thinking a third time, but yeah, I would love to see Clinton just slide right into the role, and just the reaction of the media as their heads spun trying to help you would be great too. But this is the way it's been since Trump got elected. And again, I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Gary Johnson, the libertarian. I was never a Trump guy. I thought he would do terrible with the economy. Kind of proven right in some respects in that he spending too much money. But he did surprise me with the numbers coming out of Washington. Now, some of that's a bit of a spin, but there's no denying that the economy was chugging along at a rate we hadn't seen for 50 years. Turns out Trump knows what he's doing. And, I have to admit that. But can Hillary admit that she lost in 2016? To my mind, she hasn't really even accepted that. And she's just fighting it again and again and again. Just fighting, fighting, fighting. Fortunately, Trump is also a fighter. He didn't give up either. But man, Hillary, you have grandkids. You have a life. You have all kinds of money now. Why are you doing this? Who cares? Is it that important to you to be president? You understand now that if by some miracle you are actually nominated and take Biden's place, or even run in 2024, you'll be at such a disadvantage now. After all that's happened, your age, everything, people will look back on not just the record they rejected the first time, but everything you've done since. And you haven't really done, it's not like you spent the last 4 years, I don't know, curing disease or doing something constructive. All you've done is complain about Trump in various ways, to go on talk shows. Like, if you had gotten a talk show, you might have had a shot, because you could have developed those skills like Trump has. His TV skills are pretty good. I was never a big Trump fan in terms of his performance. I always felt it was very redundant. But, it works as president, because as president, you do these planned little events. They're short, they're peppy, and then boom, you're out. That works for Trump's style. For a whole show, for a whole season, it gets tiresome to me after a while, to see Trump go on and on about winning and The Apprentice and whatnot. There was only so much of that I could take. I didn't really even watch The Apprentice. I'd sort of tune in to see him say, "You're fired," and then go, "Oh, okay, he said it." But, you don't have a record to be proud of, Hillary. Libya is a huge, huge problem. That they have open-air slave markets that you haven't even acknowledged, that you've done nothing about, that no one on your side of the aisle wants to acknowledge or do anything about, is a disgrace. even these idiots fighting in the street, Antifa and BLM, who are tactically your minions in their own way, they don't acknowledge this. They don't care. They don't fight for the people, the slaves of Libya, even though we're partially responsible as a country for creating that situation. Where's the criticism? It's nowhere. It's nowhere because the Democratic Party, I mean, it's just the remainders are just hypocrites at this point. Anybody with any sense has jumped ship. They've just jumped ship. And so should you. I would expect you to jump ship. And just jump over to the Republicans. You'd probably make a better Republican anyway. I mean, you love money. You know, why not make the jump at this point? Then you could help split the Republican Party into two halves and let the Democrats just sort of fade away. I mean, you were never really someone who connected on a people level. You know, as much as I can't stand AOC, she at least can, in some respects, connect on a personal level with people. And your husband did too. He knows how to do it. Criticize him a lot, and I would criticize him. He could connect with people. That's always been your weakness. You can't really connect with people. You just don't. You've kind of always been an elitist. Even when you weren't rich and famous, you kind of took that angle, even though you didn't really meant to. Some people are elitist even though they're not rich and famous. So you would probably do better as a Republican. But it's probably too late to switch parties now. I mean, now it would just look weird, I guess. You know, I think your supporters would probably follow you. I think they're older. I think they're mostly women. You know, there'd be a few Democrats that would feel betrayed. But at this point, you know, the Democrats that are still hanging on by their fingernails, I mean, they got to look at the party and go, what happened to us? Where is our center? Where's our core? You know, Joan? So, yeah, I mean, you and your husband criticizing Trump, him criticizing him for bad behavior in the White House, and you criticizing him for everything else, including that, you know, it's like, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, at least have something in your record to show, well, you know, Donald Trump is just a narcissist. I at least did this. I at least gave $100 million to the starving people. Even the people of Haiti hate you. I know a guy who's Haitian, and he tells me everybody in Haiti hates the Clintons. They just hate what you did. They hate everything about you, and they will remember you always as terrible people. I think about the only people who remember you guys fondly are the Albanian mafia in Kosovo, because they run the place. There's actually a statue of Bill Clinton there. But, you know, their organ harvesting operation is going pretty well. So there you go. Hillary Clinton. I mean, just retire. Just, you know, live your life. And be with your grandkids. That to me, you know, that to me sounds like a way you could then polish your image before, you know, before you go, and people would see that. And you've done some good works on Twitter allegedly, but you know that's going to be drowned out by your constant political hammering. Just, you know, I'm not asking you to support Trump. Just leave him alone for a while, will you?